So I think Jayson Ademilola is another guy that now I don't know positional need and size. There's some things that say I don't see him, barring him just having a monster season and testing really well. I don't see him being a first round pick. I think his objective next year is to jump into day 2, round 2 and 3.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be the key. The talent is there. The quickness is there. He's really long, powerful hands. What he needs right now is he needs to do a little better block destruction, right? He needs to finish at the ball better. I think those are the two things, because that equals production. If the block destruction can become a little bit more consistent, the get off becomes a little bit more consistent. Now, get off meaning not that he doesn't try, but I think sometimes he doesn't time the snap as well as maybe he could. And he's like, if you go back and look at the sack he had in the first play of the game against USC, he actually got a late jump, but he just beat the guy so bad he's still able to make the sack. That's how talented Jayson is.
Yeah.
Right. And so if he can just continue to kind of take that final step, I wonder if sitting out this spring is going to help him. And this may sound crazy, but Jayson's had 1 million reps. He doesn't need more spring reps. I wonder how him sitting back and just watching guys play, watching Coach Washington coach, watching Al Golden coach, listening to things they're teaching other players might not help him see the game a little bit differently. Like, oh, okay, like, you know what? Like, if I do this, then I can, I think it could help him. I really do. And knowing Jayson, he's not the kind of kid that's going to be sitting back, starting up random conversations, not paying attention to practice. He's going to be locked in. So as long as he's healthy and the production improves, I think he's another guy with a chance to be at the very worst early day 3 pick. But I think he's a guy that'll have a chance, again, especially if Notre Dame is really good next year, a chance to be a day 2 guy at some point.
The NFL loses their minds over interior rushers, right? Like they lose their mind over that right now, because you'll ask any quarterback in the NFL who has played in the NFL, they'll say they'd rather deal with edge pressure than interior pressure. That's
100%. Yep. That's not NFL quarterbacks. That quarterback's at any level.
True. Fair point.
Any level.
Yeah.
I can, there's so many things I can do as a quarterback against a guy coming off the edge. I can spin out, I can step up, I can slide to him. A guy coming right in my face, there's nowhere for me to go. Right. It's like, there's nowhere for me to go. And he's going to get on me quicker than a guy from over there is.
Sure is.
So you're 100% right. And it's like, because I was going to ask you about this, Ryan. There was only 5 D tackles considered like ranked, guys viewed as D tackles, pure interior guys were taken in the first 5 rounds. But a lot of that was because you look at a lot of those guys, there weren't a lot of interior guys that profiled as pass rushers, to your point.
No.
And that's what Jayson can bring to the table if his product, like he had a lot of pressures last year that didn't end in sacks, which I don't know if NFL teams care as much about sack numbers. It's the consistency of, can you get off to the quarterback more effectively? Can you finish when you're there? That's more of what I care about. Is there were times where he was there and he should have finished but didn't. And if he can improve that, the numbers are going to jump, because it's not so much he's got to have 10 sacks. It's can he consistently collapse the pocket up the middle? And there's going to be times this year where Jayson's going to be coming off against a tackle in a 5 technique. That's what he did on the first sack against USC. They were actually in a 3 down front. He was lined up in a 5 technique and beat the right tackle. It wasn't even so. I mean, that kind of versatility is also something, because now if you're a 3-4 team, you can look at him as a 5 tech with his body type and his length and all that. So I think that versatility, the ability to fit in as a 3 technique and a 4 down, but a 5 technique and a 3 down is also something that should help Jayson next year.
I think athletically, he's going to really pop for NFL teams, right? Like they're going to look at the type of player that he is, the first step quickness he has, the flexibility. The biggest thing that I think about him, Brian, is I remember going back to the Alabama game from 2020. He's got such good balance, man. He's got such good flexibility. Like he just never seems to be on the ground ever. And that's a really good thing for a defensive lineman. Like that means that you're not getting in bad situations, right? So he has all the makings of an interior rusher. You would like him to see finish a little better. I mean, there's no doubt about that. But like you said, the NFL teams are more worried about pressure than they are just raw sack numbers. Like that can be very misleading sometimes. I mean, there's guys that have gotten big contracts because they have like a 10 sack season. I think of Kyler Fackrell that played with the Green Bay Packers. He had a 10 sack season. Everyone's like, wow, he's so good. And then they're like, oh wait, no, he's actually not. They're all cleanup sacks. It's not as translatable. So I think that he has the potential to go somewhere on day 2 in the perfect world if he takes the next step. He finishes a little better, a little more consistent as far as his block destruction, like you said. The talent is there because the only big knock the one big knock that's going to be on him is that he's not the biggest guy in the world, right? He's 280
Right.
something pounds, and that's just what he's going to be. I don't want to see him 300 pounds. I think that's going to take the quickness from him. He has to be a true 3-tech, a guy that's going to work gaps. He needs to be in a tech style system. Not going to ask him to 2-gap. You're going to ask him to take the shackles off and go. So I like him in that instance. I think that he has upside to that degree, but he has to take it up even a bigger step. He took a huge step this past year, but now next year is really where you're going to see him hopefully take that even better step. Could he be one of the best defensive tackles in next year's class? Because we know that there's going to be Brian Brissy. You like Tyler Davis. I know you mentioned from Clemson a little bit. There's some other guys.
But he's a different type of player for me than Jayson. I mean, they're different players. I like him if you're a team that needs a guy that can come in, provide some size, be stout against the run, be a decent pass rusher. They're completely different players to me. I think Jayson is more of that attack. I need a disruptor. I'm getting after the quarterback. If you're looking for an Aaron Darnold type of player, I'm not saying Jason's Aaron. I'm saying there's different types of D tackles. There's the team that's looking for Jordan Davis. That team's not going to draft Aaron Donald. The team looking for Aaron Donald isn't drafting Jordan Davis, right? That's kind of where I'm from. But they're different players. But yeah, I agree. He's gonna have a chance to be as long as the medicals check out. And again, my understanding of the surgery on his shoulder is it's something he could have rehabbed, but both sides, Notre Dame and the Ademilola's, decided, hey, let's just get it cleaned up. And he doesn't need the work this spring necessarily. Let's get it cleaned up, and then there's less risk of it becoming an issue that plagues him during the season. So, and then by the time you get to next year's combine, he's going to be over a year removed from the surgery. So I expect that to not be a problem. But yeah, the production's got to get there, Ryan. The consistency of production has got to get there. And this was his first year with a lot of snaps too. That's the other thing. He was getting 200 some snaps a year his first 3 years, which I still find insane. There was some way more opportunities he should have played. So I think that's going to help him a little bit too. And then being able to look, there's negatives to not playing this spring. I think one of the positives is Jason's going to be fresh. He doesn't need let's be honest. He's a senior. He's going to be his 5th year guy. He doesn't need the work, right? I think it's better for the team that maybe he does. It's not good that he had the surgery, but you get the point that I'm making. He's not going to miss out because he wasn't out there. As long as he can get the strength back up and all that, I don't care that he didn't practice. And if anything, I think it's better for the team and it's better for him because, again, he's going to be fresh. He played a lot of snaps last year for the first time in his career. Yeah, I think he's going to be fresh.
Well, that's the thing about the 2 defensive linemen that we've talked about, right? Is that they're the old guys. They're the guys that everyone's talking about. They're still only 1-year starters, each of them. Right. They can both take their game to a much higher level. Right. They are not finished products, which I think gives you that hope that projection is still there. I mean,